You guys for tuning in to Heavenly Cynt People You Should Know. My name is Cynthia, CEO of Heavenly Cynt Youth, a mentoring enrichment program for inner city underserved communities where we expose kids to difference, teach them life skills such as something basic as learning how to tie a tie, and learning how to do basic maintenance on a vehicle, learning table etiquette and everything in between. Even cursive writing, because a lot of these things that, it's not taught in school. And so the fact that I'm able to do these things is just awesome. And what else we do? We've tapped into farm animals. We've tapped into gardening. We do canoeing. We do skating. Anything and everything in between. With that being said, I actually had to take some time out and do some self-care because, you pour into things, and then you forget about self. So I took the time to fall back while the kids were on spring break and do some things for me. So I got a lot of things that I'm working on, and so next year will be much bigger than, this following year. And so with that being said, I've had so many people that support me, and I appreciate everybody. I can't name names because I'll definitely forget somebody, and you know how when you forget somebody, people be in their feelings. So we don't want to put anybody on the spot. So with that being said, I always say left and right? So to the right of me, I have a good friend of mine. His name is Martin. You guys know him as Martin the Crime Chaser, right? And so with that being said, Martin, introduce yourself, let them know who you are.
Hey, I'm Martin Johnson. Martin G. Johnson. I'm the crime chaser. Basically what I do is I follow crime, monitor crime in the city of Chicago. Not only not crime, just fires, car accidents, and I do community events as well. So I'm not just all doom and gloom. So if you have an event or you want to hire me or something to come by and promote your business, that's it.
So I consider Martin as a community servant. And I say that because, like he just mentioned, Martin has any and everything that you could think of. Everything is awareness. So before I turn to the news, I'll get a call or hear somebody say, something happened on so-and-so. And I'd be like, go to Martin G. Johnson page. And guess what? It'd be right there, say it, Martin.
Live, uncut, unedited.
That's Martin's slogan. And so the difference between Martin and so many others that are out there, Martin, he goes to crime scenes. And again, he get the news before we get it. Before the news get it. And so I like the fact that Martin don't video the individual that's on the ground. He's just doing the crime scene. So don't get it twisted.
Let me help you out on that.
Please
Let me help you out. What she's saying is, when I go on the crime scene, I still keep my integrity. I'm not out there filming graphic people with blood bleeding, bullet in the head, all shot up. I don't do those things. And another thing I don't do, I don't demonize the dead. I could have known that this person was a terrible person in the community, but I would never say nothing about the dead, because I always tell people you have to be careful when you speak about the dead. They have loved ones, and when they have loved ones, their loved ones will go. I'm just leave it at that.
Right. So Martin, one may say, why do you do that? And so Channel 7, 5, 9, and all these other news channels do the very same thing, and they're getting compensated for it. And so I appreciate Martin, because like I said, things happen in the neighborhood, and, we going on about our merry way, ain't got a clue. And so, to know is to be aware. So I appreciate that.
Well, let me say something. I want to help you out. The purpose of me doing it, the reason why I want to do it, to bring awareness to the world, not just the community, to the world, because it's like, if you living in a house, nobody know really what's going on in your house if you in that house. So I'm in that house, and I can tell the story from the inside. So that's, if you know what I mean. I'm in these communities, born and raised in these communities, and through gun violence and gang violence and prostitution, drug infestation. I was born in these areas. So I know how to tell the story correctly.
So Martin, my friend called me the other day and asked me, what time does Martin sleep?
I don't. Maybe 3-4 hours.
So Martin is up. So Martin has a show. I wouldn't even call it a show, a podcast. Yeah. Safe to say, Martin has a podcast that he's on, just talking about any and everything, relationship. And when I say at 2 a.m, 12 o'clock at night, Martin got a full audience, because guess what? Like he just said, people want to know. This is awareness, and a lot of times we don't really have people to talk to. So you get on Martin's podcast, Martin lets you say whatever you want to say, as long as it's respectful. And And a lot of times, we know with podcasts, you're limited. It's certain things that you can't say. And so Martin allowed everybody to voice their opinion because and so he don't cut anybody off. He don't hang up on you. But, as long as you're respectful, and just to hear someone engage in conversations and just how people think, I'd be like, wow, because Martin came on my show and Martin brought, what was the name of our show? Martin talked about relationships, and
right.
he talked about, Real Talk, Real Men is my show. And so Martin just was on there and was keeping it real. He was transparent. And so a lot of people won't and not transparent. And so, Martin give it to us like it is.
Let me say this. One thing about the truth, you don't have to rehearse it. So it's no script. So we were talking. It says, Cynthia said, well, Martin, I got a list of questions. I said, you didn't even have to ask me a question. I'm going to be transparent with you.
He did.
Don't stage nothing. Just give me the questions and I'm going to answer it.
And he did.
And I did that, didn't I?
So the reason of me bringing Martin on is because Martin has been, like I said, he's been following things that's happening in the community. And so at one point, our youth was just terrorizing downtown areas, and they was, grouping up. And so people were trying to figure out how and where these teens were coming like this. And so I think Martin and a couple of his constituents discovered, or Martin was able to film that, or find information about these kids, and they're getting it from these social media platforms, right? Mm-hmm. And so the topic of this show is the relationship between crime and technology. So with that being said, so technology could be your cell phone, the video game, just any and everything in between. So Martin, he's been touching on that. He's been videoing that, and he knows more about that. And so I want Martin to bring awareness and let these parents know, like, these kids, they out here.
Yeah, well, let me just say to any parent that's listening to me out there, and Cynthia, and I know I've always said that parents should search their children's bedroom. I've always said that, always. And sometimes you can search it when they leave and go to school, or go out to play a little bit. Search your room, because you'll be surprised what you find.
That's scary.
Well, Martin, I believe in letting my children have privacy and all that. There's no privacy when you're a parent in the house. You have to get involved with your sons and daughters. No one, even myself, wants to believe that my daughter's out there smashing and grabbing or fighting or game. We don't want to. We think the best for our children.
You're right.
Seriously, I don't. When I hear bad news about one of my children, I said, no, not mine. But yes, my child did that.
You're right.
Yeah.
So Martin, how do you think these kids what platform do you think these kids are using back when they was meeting up at downtown and all these different places?
Most of they use Instagram, IG. They call it IG. Yeah, and Snapchat too as well. And it's like an underground. See, one thing about, they use false identity. They know it, and they know how to mobilize too. They can mobilize. Oh my God, they outslick the parents, because we all are nice in front of our parents.
Of course.
We know how to behave ourselves, and we know what our parents say don't do and do. But when we're away from our parents, I tell parents all the time, listen to the instructors, the teachers. You are away from your sons and daughters 8 to 10 hours a day, and your teacher see the behavior. Their teachers see the behavior.
I agree. So Martin, have you ever had any conversation with some of these kids?
Of course, yes.
And so how does that sound? What does that look like?
Well, a lot of our children, I call them children, kids, but a lot of our children, they are lacking attention.
Wow.
And these are things, when they do certain things, they're crying for attention. When mama is in a room entertaining, which she have the right to do, but you're taking away from your sons and daughters. You're taking away from them. And they know that. So you have to have a family time, if I say that. Family time is needed, where there's no cell phones and nothing. Sit at the table, eat, and talk to your child. How was your day today?
Wow.
Did you do your homework? I mean, these are simple questions. When was the last time you told your son or your daughter you love them and hug them?
Wow.
These are real basic things that we can do. You know what, son or daughter, we're going to have a movie tonight. Let's go to the movies, or let's watch it on TV or something. You have to spend that quality time. Like I see with your son. You guys are constantly doing things. You go to church together. You go into games together. You go into the WNBA. I see that, Cynt. That's what's needed. Listen,
I appreciate
if you're a parent out here, especially a male, that don't have no money and you're not working, What's more valuable than money is spending time with your child.
I agree.
It's a lot of free things out. You can go to the park with your child, free museum. They have free days. I'm telling you,
You can go to the
basketball.
library and get a pass for any type of attraction for free with a library card.
Yeah.
You can get fishing rods, zoo, whatever. Everything that you think you want, you can go to the library and get a pass for. It's a whole board of stuff, free, with a library card free. Wow, that's, and you know what, Martin, I'm sitting here listening to you say that, and so what he's saying, you know, we parents got to get it together. So every night, my son, you know, we in the car, I got the music down, like you say, the phone is off. I'm asking him how his day went, and you know, what he want, and you know, what's going on with him, what type of friends he around, and what happened with his friends. And I even let him listen to the music he want to listen to, Martin, because I want to be in tune. You know what I'm saying? I want to be in tune with what he got going on. And so, and I told him one day, I was like, you listening to that music? I'm like, I hope you don't let that music consume you and take over your brain and you start doing the stuff that they do. He was like, Mom, I wouldn't do that. You know, you raised me, da 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 da. And so we laugh about it. And so I monitor it. And so when he's home, he's listening to his headphones. So now what I do, Martin, is I make him listen to a motivational speech. And he has to have it without the headphones. So I say, okay, we're going to sit here and watch this 20 or 30-minute motivational speech. This is going to speak life into you because, you know, I'm a female. And so a lot of times you don't think I know what I'm talking about. So you're going to hear from a male. And then once that is done, then you can go back to your trap music or whatever you call it. But I'm feeding it in him, Martin.
Okay,
I'm feeding it in him. And so, yeah, it's just the way of the world and these kids. And like you mentioned with schools, right? I hear so many teachers ready to quit school because, you know, the kids coming in, they causing havoc. They call the parents trying to cuss them out. Now the parents want to fight them. But like you said, Martin, they spending time with your kids 8 hours a day. Your kid is an angel for the most part when you're around. And so now when they go to school, you're not around. So you can't never say what your kid don't do. As much as I'm involved with my son, Martin, I don't know what my son will do when I'm not around, and I'm not going to tell you that. However, I know what's instilled in him. He know the consequences behind, you know, unruly behavior. And so, you know, that's all I can do is ask, you know, the God to watch over him and him to, you know, listen to the
Let me
word.
just say this too, while it's in my spirit. Some of us that parents that ride public transportation, the train, the pink line, the blue line, the red line, even the CTA bus, we hear some of these conversations that our youth are having. They speak as if there's no adults around them. Seriously, I'm not going to get into what they're saying. They talk about sex, they talk about drugs, they talk about shooting, they talk about everything. Just all you have to do is sit there and listen.
Wow.
You have to sit there and listen. You know, I had a friend, he was riding the CTA bus. He's an older gentleman, older than I am. And it was a young lady. She was saying some, you know, very sexual things. And he turned around to her and he said, young lady, you're too beautiful to be talking like that. And the young lady felt bad. She didn't cuss him out or anything. Good. He said, you're a young lady. You shouldn't be saying things out of your mouth like that. And sometimes it takes, in the right tone now, in the right tone, you know, yeah, in the right tone. That's how we should be doing. So that's one of the pointers. Cynthia, we have to pay attention to our children.
I agree, Martin.
And when I say our children, all children, you know, if you can intervene and help somebody, do it. If you can help somebody's son or daughter, do it.
So, Martin, you mentioned transportation. So, as a parent, and like you said, you got your ear to the community. And so any and everything we know happened on a train. So, and I'm sorry, we'll say CTA. So would you let your child, how do you feel about your child riding public transportation nowadays?
No.
And why?
No. Well, I'm going to give you some facts.
Please.
Do you know how many times I've been to 79th and the Red Line for shootings, murders, and things like that? 69th Street in the Red Line, 87th Street in the Red Line, 95th Street in the Red Line? I would say no. If you're a parent out there, if you can avoid your sons or your daughters riding on the red line, the bus line, please make another way for them.
Even if your kid a good kid, Martin?
Even if your kid a good kid, trust me. Because you want to keep your kids safe. We fail to realize we have a gun problem amongst our youth. Now, we know the guns aren't made in Inglewood or South Shore or Lundale, nowhere. But for some reason, these high, powerful weapons are ending up in our teenagers' hands. And they're using them. We see it every day. We see it. Younger dying, younger being arrested. Listen, we had 2 teens killed yesterday in the alley. Now, I don't know what the situation was. My condolences go out to the family. But I don't know what happened. 2 teenagers dead in the alley yesterday and sitting in the car. So if you're a parent and you listen to me, I would not advise your son or your daughter to ride public transportation if you can avoid it. If you can find another way for them, find it. It's worth it. Trust me, it's worth it.
Wow.
Innocent people do get hurt too. Church people get hurt. Working people get hurt. People that mind their business, they get hurt as well.
You're right. I'm glad you said that. Wow.
Ooh, that was deep, wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah.
I felt that all in my spirit. And so, because like you said, Martin, at the end of the day, as a parent, I have to make sure that my son is safe. I have to keep him from any hurt, harm, or danger. That'd be my daily prayer, Lord, to protect us from any hurt, harm, or danger as we go to and from these byways. And so, yeah, you're absolutely right. Because,
Oh, hold on, something coming in my spirit right now. Look, I'm sounding like a prophet now. Listen, for those parents out there that's saying in their mind, I can read y'all mind and say, well, you got to let them grow up.
Thank you.
Listen, if something happened to your son or daughter, you don't want that pain, trust me. I have a sister that lost her son to gun violence, and she's never been the same. I have a first cousin that lost her son to gun violence. So trust me, one thing about a grieving parent, and all of them had in common, all the grieving parents that I ever interviewed and talked to personally in private, they said they don't wish this pain on nobody, not even their worst enemy. And I'm going to rest my case on that.
I'm glad you said that, Martin, because, one would say, they got to learn. They got to be able to navigate life, and they got to be able to, they got to be able to see things coming. They got to be out there in the world. They got to. And see, Martin, for me, my thing isn't about throwing my son out there because I know it's out there. So if I can protect my son for what I know is out there, like you just said, all type of stuff happen on the CTA. I mean, on public transportation. You got people sleeping, you got migrants sleeping on the bus, you got people, just any and everything. And so if I have to pay a couple dollars to get him some transportation, to get him there safely, you know what I'm saying, to get that off my conscience, then that's what I'm going to do. Because even when I have done it, I was on pins and needles, like, okay, when he going to call? I'm texting him like, is you there yet? And so just that little small window, I felt like I was on edge. So
and let me tell you another thing. I've spoken to a lot of parents, and they stay by their telephone because they know at any given minute they can get that call, say, hey, your son was shot or hurt. I'm telling you, that's a frightening feeling for any parent, both males and females, to get that call and say, hey, your son has been shot. You don't
and Martin,
want
the scary part, it's not just boys now.
It's females too as well, yeah.
Wow.
Yes. They are the carriers of the weapons. Sometimes they hold the weapons.
Really?
Yeah. They shooting them too. Yes, they are. Yes. Yes.
And see, again,
You're talking about young people. I'm talking about young people. I'm not talking about full-grown adults. I'm talking about young people.
13. I'm seeing it on social media. 13, 14, 12, carjacking. And I'm like, really?
And I want to say to the parents out there
That's scary.
To the teenagers. If any teenagers listen to this, if anyone offers or introduces you to drugs and alcohol, they're not your friend. They're trying to destroy you. Don't do it. Trust me. Listen, when you see a person that's an addict or anything, or standing in front of the store 24 hours a day every time you go up there, no one grow up and say, hey, I want to be an addict. No one say, I want to be on drugs. They don't say that. How it started. So if you don't start nothing, you don't have to worry about stopping it.
Wow. And so, Martin, I guess it depends on the area, right?
Yeah.
Because, I work in the suburbs, and I'm in Burr Ridge. I'm in, oh my goodness, I'm in these rich areas, and I don't see that, Martin. The kids out there, they walking by themselves.
Oh yeah.
The doors is open on the garage in the house, and it's like a whole different world.
Well, it's a different, it's called another income level. Those are 700 and up, better scores, credit scores, those type of areas like that. Those areas have plenty of resources.
Exactly.
So they have a lot of, and when you live in these impoverished areas that have been robbed for years and years, and matter of fact, there's no poor white community here in the city of Chicago at all. We have 77 communities, and if any one of them white, they're not poor.
Wow.
That's fact. That's a fact.
So it's scary, Martin. Like I said, when I'm in all these different areas, and I'm like, wow, these people are living unbothered. You know what I'm saying? It's clean, it's nice, and people are nice. And I see kids going to the store, 4, 5, walking to the store about it. Wherever they're going.
Skateboards.
Yes,
bikes.
exactly, on bikes. You know what I'm saying? Everybody, it's nice, and then I have to come back to my neighborhood, and it's like, wow. So you telling me to just throw my son out there, right?
No, you don't. Whoever gave you that advice, that's wrong advice. He still grew up in, because see, a lot of us taught in the black community, well, once you 18, you grown. You grown, but you're not grown.
Exactly.
You don't have to throw your child out because they're 18.
Thank you for saying that, Martin.
You don't have to do that. Don't, please, people, please throw that out the window.
They're not mentally ready, Martin.
Right.
Right. It's all with mental. And like you said, we live in these areas where it's fight or flight. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
These kids they're underserved. Resources not there. They're not really being taught anything. And you know what I'm saying? Some of the parents lack education, don't have resources, and the kids are pretty much just trying to fend for themselves. So you mean to tell me, like you said, Martin, because a kid 18 that y'all saying, okay, go. No, don't give up on your sons and daughters at 18 years old. They just started, You don't want to do that because you're throwing them out to the wolves and stuff like that. And they're not ready. And let me just say this real quick. If you live on Cottage Grove, just say, we'll just say Ashland. We'll just use Street Ashland, North or South Ashland. You may live on the east side or the west side of Ashland. Okay.
And if you're on the west side, you might belong to this gang, and then this side, you might belong to that gang. So whatever side you live on, even though you're probably not affiliated, I'm talking about a young person, but by you living on that side, you're guilty because this side is this whatever area this is.
And so now you on the bus,
right?
Not even bother nobody, and
right.
now it's a crossfire. You know what I'm saying? So
it
wow,
can happen.
That's scary. So Martin, with that being said, so how far? What's the furthest you went for on the crime scene?
Well, I went out of town. A lot of time. To the protests. I've been to Minnesota,
right.
George Floyd. I've been to Wisconsin. The Blake family. Was it? Yeah, that's what it's in.
So that George Floyd, Martin, that was national. So when you went down there, what did you feel when you went down there?
Man, it was a vibe that I've never witnessed before. Actually, I was down there when the riots broke out.
Wow.
The first riot broke out in Minnesota. I was there, and I got on up out of there too. Trust me, you were gonna catch a crime chaser up there. Listen, I just document. I'm not participating in busting no windows or running nobody's business and all that. No. Listen, through all these riots, they don't have me on camera doing nothing but filming. That's it.
Wow.
I'm just documenting. I documented it, but I got out of there.
I didn't know you went down there.
Yes.
Well, now that I think about it, why wouldn't you, right?
Yeah.
Wow. So, man, Martin, I'm just, thank you for what you do. Like I said, I've learned so much from you, just watching you. I wish I can watch you late at night, but I'm in the bed by like 10 o'clock. I listen to it, and I got a friend who be up driving trucks, so I tell him, let me know what Martin talked about. I got him watching you, listening to you.
Good. It's no telling what I'm about to talk about. I just try to be moved by the Spirit. I may talk about relationship. I may talk about crime. I may talk about a fire. I may talk about anything.
And even with, with relationship, you know what I'm saying? I don't have a lot of positive men. Let me make sure I'm saying that right.
No, don't say positive. Just say you don't have a lot of men that's going to keep it real.
Thank you, Martin, because I don't want nobody to be calling me talking about, thank you, Martin. Y'all
Keep
heard what he said. I don't have a lot of men around me that keep it real. Yeah. And so I appreciate Martin. And even with Martin helping me, showing me stuff I need to set up my my other podcast, I appreciate that, because people ain't trying to help nobody no more, Martin. Everybody,
Well, the difference, I'm similar to, I would say, the Black Panthers, because when they was helping people, they was serving the community. They wasn't looking for money. And that's the same mindset that I have. I'm here to serve. It's not about the money. Now, don't get me wrong, money, oxygen's right up there with money. We all need it to survive.
Oxygen and money, I like that.
Yeah, we all need it to survive. But my main focus is to serve the community.
Wow. Well, with that being said, Martin, I appreciate you. You have no idea. You know, I see your platform. You know, you're doing amazing. God gonna continue to bless you because you have been a blessing to so many people. So with that being said, I want to thank my parents, my support system, my family, and everybody that, you know, support me and want to see me prosper. And of course, God for being ahead of my life, you know, for navigating my life, and for CAN TV for giving me this platform to bring on people like you, Martin. Anybody you want to give a shout out to?
I just want to give a shout out to black people out there. Be great. Love on each other. No matter what images that you see that's negative about, that does not represent all of us. And I just want you guys to be great and love on each other. Do something. Do a favor for somebody, and don't look for nothing in return.
Wow. And you know what, Martin? That's my life. People think I got all this money. I'm like, not at all. I got resources because I volunteer. I help people. People see how passionate I am about what I want to do. I don't walk in with my hand out. I walk out trying to serve. Like you just said, hey, how could I serve here? What can I do? You know, how can I support? And for that, people appreciate that. And so, you know, the blessings flow.
That's more valuable than money.
I promise you.
Give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. But if you teach him how to fish, you feed him for a lifetime.
We're going to end on that. See you guys next Monday for Heavenly Cynt. People you should know.